Okay, have you ever been to a sex party?
I have.
Okay. Have you ever been to one with like 300 people?
More like 1,000 people.
Oh my God.
And that's what people need to realize though, sex parties aren't really about sex.
Yeah.
It's about the connection, the deepening of connection with yourself, with your partner, with people around you. That's what it is. It's kind of almost like a form of self-discovery.
It took me having to be in a committed monogamous relationship to feel this level of sexual liberation.
Can you give us a juicy story? As much as you feel comfortable with, but like maybe from an app, maybe from Field, but something funny that happened or something interesting, something with a pivotal point. I think it's time for story.
Okay, so we did go to one party that we found on Cassidy. Mm-hmm. And, have you ever been to a sex party?
I have.
Okay. So have you ever been to one with like 300 people?
So that's the only type of sex party I've been to. The only sex party I've been to, I haven't been to like a private one. Mm-hmm. I've been to, I don't know if it's considered a sex party. It's considered a fetish BDSM party. It's called Torture Gardens. It's in London. And it's crazy because some of the floors are like, well, most of it is just like a normal club, except everyone's in BDSM wear. In fact, they even say you're not allowed in if you're wearing something that would get you into a normal club. You have to be in fetish gear. Ooh. Yeah. And it's amazing. They're coming actually to Los Angeles. I'm going to give you the date after this.
We're going.
Yes.
We're all going.
Yeah, everyone. But it's amazing. So some of it is like a club. Also, caveat, really cool part of it is that it's the most consensual place I've ever been to. Usually when I go to a club, a guy will grab me or just like talk to me too long or just like will be like very like sticky or whatever. Here, literally the guys will come up and be like, hey, can I dance with you? Guys and girls, whatever. It's very LGBT friendly as well. It's amazing. But they're like, hey, can I dance with you? It's very consensual. And then they have like a corridor where you can get like tied up and whipped and stuff like that. It's very BDSM. Yeah. So it's like, they have a whole corridor where like that stuff happens. And then they also have the orgy sex room as well. Yes. So, but even in the parts which are just clubbing, like in the corner, there'll be like, two very handsome gentlemen like giving each other head, or like there will be, another little like
just
fun thing going
happening.
Yeah. So that's it's like a club that's like also a sex party that's BDSM, and it's really, really cool. So that's the only, so when you're like, I've been to 300 people, I'm like, more like 1,000 people.
Oh my God.
And that's the only type of one I've ever been to. I haven't been to a small one. Yeah, they're in London. They come to New York fairly frequently. They hardly ever come to LA. I think it's once every 2 years. But it's very, like, London is very, like, BDSM fetish, as is New York. I think most finance places are very in that realm. So, and so, like, obviously very poly as well and into that stuff. But yeah, sorry. As you were.
I'm excited. Okay. So I had a couple flash through my mind, but I think this one is super appropriate because it was in Italia.
Was it?
Yes. Yes. So, okay.
Oh, tell me all.
Okay. Sorry, Mom. So we went to Italy for my 30th birthday, actually. And we spent the first part of the trip in France with Pasha's mom. And then we went to Italy, went to Rome, and then Venice. And so there is a huge club outside of Venice, which I had no idea. And when we knew we were going to travel, we were like, I wonder if there's any cool parties that we could check out. And because we had been to one party so far in the States, and it was fun, but we were like wanted to dip our toe into something else. It was a smaller party. So we find out that there's this huge party in Venice, and we have to drive like, I think 40 minutes, it's like outside the city. Also, remember, I'm such a baby at this. I'm still new. I'm like, thinking that this is so taboo to do. We get in this car, we get in the taxi, we're driving, and we met this couple on one of these websites. I think it was Cassidy. So we knew that they were going to be there because the party was promoted like on that platform. We arrive and there are so many people there. And again, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I guess like we're not crazy. We're not freaks. We go in and it's very overwhelming. And also, everyone is like already naked from like the moment that we walk in. And maybe this is like the European way.
Probably.
I love you, Italians. But right away, I was sort of like nervous butterflies the whole time. And I like very quickly, I used to drink a lot more back then. I'm like, I need something to calm my nerves. So we go to the bar and I realized that we are like standing back to back with the people that we like matched with and that we were going to meet there. But that the man was not as attractive as his photos. But like, I was just kind of like, do we say hi? Like, I don't even know how to do this yet. I'm like such a noob. I'm like, do they see us? Do they notice us? I'm like at the bar with my drink over my face. And then like, she's very, very attractive. And I could like hear her voice and I'm starting to get like turned on at the thought, like, okay, we have to go talk to them. But then I'm like, I don't want to be rude. What if I'm not into this guy? And like all of these things are coming up also, which are sort of triggering all those things like, what if I'm not into the guy? Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, fuck, what if you're not into him? Then you're not into him. Then you don't do anything.
And it's fine.
But back then I was sort of like, but we committed, like all of these kind of conversations in my mind and how I was in relationships before. We said we were going to meet them. It's so silly for me to go through this story and hear my younger self. But eventually they noticed us. So we had to meet them. And we started chatting with them. And this man was like such a sweet gentleman and was much more attractive, like up close. It was, I think, just honestly, his clothes. Because they were so Italian.
Like too Italian.
Like, not really attracted to his
you
like
said everyone was naked.
Silvery shirt. No, he had there were people with their clothes on.
It would have been better if he was naked.
Maybe, yes. So we start talking, we start drinking, and very quickly, like there's not much that goes on there. This is one of those like nightclubby, the music is loud, everyone's there to like get drinks and have sex. Like it was not vibey the way things are here, and I'm kind of spoiled by LA culture, I think, and kind of the openness that happens here. That's a lot more about, or maybe I'm just older and I'm also attracting those things. Which is part of it, because when Posh and I were younger, we were like, sex is so fun with other people. Let's do it. But yeah, so we very quickly go to like an intimacy room off to the side. And
you four?
Yes. So earlier on, it's like a lot of her and she was beautiful. And I remember she had just had a breast augmentation like the week before. So she was also like, it was so robotic and kind of funny. It was like, oh, I can't lay this way, I can't do that. Which was kind of cool because she also, I think I was very intimidated because everyone else was so sexually free and I'm still figuring it out. Like, what do I like? And also being comfortable. So she was like, I can't have sex. And I was like, great, me either. Like, we're not going to do that. But we hooked up and her and I had a lot of kissing and I started kissing her husband. I just started making out with her. And that was a little while. And then we sort of like went back to our partners and started having sex with Pasha. And then she was giving Pasha a blowjob and it was all really hot. Everything was happening. Like he was kissing me. I had a lot of attention. It was like one of the first times I feel like there was a lot of focus on me. Well, because it was also, I think only the second, it was my second foursome ever. The first one was also amazing. The whole other, maybe I should have told that story, the Burning Man story. I'll tell that another time. But it was overwhelming. I have to say at that point, I wasn't really comfortable. Like I was just getting there and I was still so young. Like I feel like, I was 30 and it brought up a lot that I'm still working through of like receiving pleasure. Like I remember in that moment, actually, this is a juicy story, but I can't help myself but turn it into like, what was I learning? Like, what was I learning in that moment?
What happens when you're a coach.
Yeah. But I remember like kind of feeling like, oh, but I should be like doing something for them, instead of just like lying there and being like, this is amazing. But it was such a great experience. And like I said, he was such a gentleman. And I know Pasha had an amazing time and she had so much fun. She was like the Energizer bunny Barbie. She was like super cute. Bless you, sweet Italian couple, wherever you are. And but it was very much like quick and over. I think they finished kind of early and then we were kind of like, oh, we should probably like wrap this up because they wanted to like go back out and like find another couple. Yes. So that was kind of the funny part. And then Posh and I were
Wow.
kind of like, we like did a lap around the club. So at this point, we're only there for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And it was very sexy. There was like a lot of sex everywhere and then people dancing. And then that was it. We were kind of like, okay, do we want to go home?
Get some food.
We went back to our little cute place we were staying in Venice and got in bed. We did a lot of that. There was another party that we went to. It was a Halloween party in Palm Springs. And we ended up not playing with anyone. And this is actually how early on we realized like big parties were not our thing. We did like 3 of them. I remember Palm Springs, we actually went home, got really great food and had amazing sex with each other and like played cards all night rather than be at this like sex that we like paid a lot of money and like had a table and it was like a whole thing. And we were like, nah, it's just not our speed.
That's what people need to realize though, is sex parties aren't really about sex. Like about the physical part of sex.
Yeah.
It's about the connection, the deepening of connection with yourself, with your partner, with people around you. Like different partners can bring out different things of your partnership. Different people can bring out different things in you. It's like, that's what it is. It's kind of almost like a form of self-discovery.
Yes. I very much prefer a party that has like 8 to 10 people at it and everyone's having a lot of conversation and maybe there's some sex here and there and like parties that aren't even sex parties that kind of turn into sex parties are the best.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. And I love what you said before about the receiving. Like sex when you, especially as a woman, sex when you know or when you feel worthy of receiving is very different.
Yes.
To before.
Yeah. So much has changed as I've been on that journey.